Alright, this is Unit 1, Section 7 homework, literal equations. So I know some of y'all are frustrated because this is just different, weird, odd, where'd the numbers go kind of thing. Alright, as if 1x wasn't bad enough, now we got every other letter in the alphabet. So I'm just going to start solving these after someone knocks on my door. Okay. Man, I've been gone for like 20 minutes, but this video, since it paused, y'all don't even realize, so it feels like forever. Anyways, on the first one, I want to find x, right? Because it tells me solve for x. Okay, here is my x right here. That means I have to get rid of all the other letters, numbers, anything on this side of the equation that is not x. Okay, so the way that I usually do these is I always start with the other side of the equation. So I start with g, and so I want x, I have to get rid of c. Because it's cx, there's nothing in between. That means they're being multiplied. It's really c times x, and I do the opposite to get rid of it. So instead of times c, I'm going to divide by c. Okay, so that letter is gone, right? It's moved. And all I have left is x, and that is my answer. Maybe you're sitting there and you're like, oh man, that looks so easy. My mind has been blown. Or you're the complete opposite and went, what in the world did you just do? It's called math. I don't know how else to explain it. I know, right? Sometimes math can be a little weird. So let's do what, hopefully by the end of 32 questions, maybe it'll start to kind of a little make sense. So we'll just keep on trucking. All right, here, I want to solve for a. Here's my a, so I have to get rid of everything that's not a. Okay. So again, I start with the other side, so I'm going to have u. And because this is plus k, I do the opposite, so minus k. Okay. I have nothing else to move, so then that is my answer, equals a. I mean, one nice thing for me that I like about these is there is not a lot of work to show because there's really not a lot to do. I mean, I can't add letters, I can't subtract letters, I can't do anything, so you just leave it all as letters. So it's kind of nice. I just know the struggle for most people is because it's not numbers and it just looks different, it seems like it's totally different than what we've done when it's really the same thing. It's just the appearance. But all right, number 3, we have, I want x, right? So here's my x. So that means I have to get rid of c, and I have this minus sign. I don't want a negative with it. Okay, so I have to get rid of 2 things. So first thing is I start with g. Okay, I want to get rid of the c first because I want to work my way towards the x. So you want to go from like the out, like around it, and work your way in, kind of thing. Right? The way I say it is you work backwards from the other side. So I have g. Now, if I want to move c, because c is positive, right? There's no negative, which makes it positive. The opposite of a positive c is a negative c. Okay, so that's gone. And then you might be thinking, okay, how do I get rid of a negative? That's nothing, right? Well, if you remember, if I have a negative and no number, that's actually like a -1, right? So that's -1x, which is the same thing as -1 times x. And the opposite of times -1 is divided by -1. Okay, you can leave your answer like that. Okay, that would be technically correct. The other way is, let's say I went ahead and just wrote out g minus c equals -x. Okay. Anytime you're left with a negative letter, to make it positive or get rid of the negative, all I have to do really is just change all my signs to the opposite. And then, so this would be the exact same thing. Okay, so g minus c over -1 is the same thing as -g plus c. Okay, and notice between these two, my g is opposite, my c is opposite. Okay, same thing. Either one's fine. Okay, and that was 3. So let's do 4. Okay, on 4, I want to solve for a. And look, a is on the bottom of my fraction. Okay, anytime you have your letter in the bottom of your fraction, there's 2 things you can do. I'll show you one way on this one. I'll show you the other way on 8, because 8 is the same or very similar to this one. So the first thing I want to do is, if I have my letter in the bottom, I want to move my letter out of the fraction. Okay, so I'm going to move it over here. So I'm going to write z. So I start with z. And because this is divided by a, when I move it, it's going to be multiplied by a. And then I'm left with m. Okay. So far, I just moved my a out from the fraction. I don't want it in the bottom. And now from here, I want a, right? So because it's times z, I want to divide by z. And that becomes my answer. So I get a equals m over z. Okay, that's one way you can do those when the letter's in the bottom. I guess it depends on the problem, but sometimes I do it that way, and then again I'll show you on number 8. There's a different way you can do it that I'll do sometimes also. Okay, so 5. I want to get x. Here's my x. All right, so I have to get rid of k. So I'm going to start with the other side. So I have u, and because it's plus k, I'm going to do minus k. And I have nothing else, so equals x. And that's my answer. So some of these, again, there's not a whole lot to do because I can't combine those letters, so I just leave it. And that is my answer. Okay, I want x. Here's x. So again, I have to get rid of k and the negative 1. So I'm going to start with my other side, u. Okay, positive k becomes negative k. And negative 1 times x. So instead of times, I'm going to do divided by. Or remember, I can just flip my signs. So I have negative u plus k equals x. Okay, either one's fine. To me, I think the flipping the signs is probably easier to do, but you can leave it as either one. It'll be right. All right, number 7. If this will turn, there we go. 7, I want to get a. Okay, here's a. And so here's a right here. And I only have to get rid of k on this one. So again, I'm going to start with my other letter, so u. And because it's a times k, I'm going to now divide by k. And then that's my answer, because I have nothing else to move. So I had someone earlier say, so I'm not really, I'm solving for a letter, but really all we're doing is just moving letters around. And I was like, yeah. So yeah, I can't get rid of any letters. I'm just moving them to a different place or different location. All right, last one on this page is 8. Now here's the other way. Here's what I like to do. So I want to get x, right? Since x is in the bottom, again, anytime I have it on the bottom of the fraction, I can do what we did up here, where I move it and multiply and then go from there. Or the other thing you can do is I can flip both sides of my equation. So when I say flip, since I have d and there's no fraction, if you remember, every whole number, or in this case letter, is always over 1, and then k over x. I can flip those to be 1 over d equals x over k. Okay, so I can flip it, and then since I want to get x and I'm dividing by k, I would then multiply by k over here. So k times 1 is just k over d, and equals x. So again, it really depends on the question, on what I have as to when I would do this way or the other way. But again, either way is right. And that's the end of the first page, which is the end of this video.